We're here back in the Fantasy Bar Week 15 on tap. We got 6 of my favorite plays on the main slate on FanDuel and DraftKings, including a higher-end running back I think goes overlooked, a value wide receiver and tight end I think you need to lock in, what game we are looking to correlate and stack, and of course, my favorite play of the week. Who are we talking about? Belly up to the Fantasy Bar and find out. Welcome in, guys. Week 15 edition Beers Daily Fantasy 6-pack. Good to be back here in the Fantasy Bar. 6 guys fresh off the tap for you for FanDuel and DraftKings for the Sunday main slate. Let's get into the plays. Before we do that, let's take a second here. Click that thumbs up button. Greatly appreciate that. Helps us out tremendously here on YouTube. The tip jar here, as I always say, on this free video. So thank you in advance for that. Also, subscribe to the channel. Don't miss any of the videos. NBA videos a couple times a week. 6-pack video here in the NFL, and my pints and picks with 2 of my favorite NFL bets each and every week. 7-1 on those picks over the last 4 weeks. So make sure you subscribe. Don't miss any of the content. And speaking of sports betting, head over to scoresandodds.com/beer. That link in the description of the video. Tons of great sports betting information. All right, let's jump in here. Got a nice 10-game main slate. Let's start with some value at the wide receiver position with Nelson Agholor of the Patriots. So Jacoby Myers looking iffy here. Devontae Parker, we saw what happened to him the other night in Arizona. So both likely missed this game here against Las Vegas. And it's a great matchup for the New England Patriots. Not to mention Ramondre Stevenson, who takes up a lot of usage in the passing game, could miss this game as well. Now, if he's in, does not change the play. If he's out, maybe it's a few more targets here for some of these value New England receivers. And I actually like them all. Now, Kendrick Bourne also in play here, along with Tyquan Thornton, but it was Agholor who led the way, 10 targets in that game against the Arizona Cardinals here. And we mentioned the matchup. Vegas has been horrific against the pass. I know Mac Jones certainly a concern here, but I think he can have a good week here. Dead last in DVOA against the pass here are the Las Vegas Raiders. Can run it back on the other side with one or both of Josh Jacobs, Devontae Adams, who seemingly end up in the winning lineups each and every week. So a lot of ways you can play this. The Nelson Agholor in all formats, just too cheap with the current injury situation for the New England Patriots. All right, running back up next, we're rolling with Miles Sanders of the Eagles. So Sanders playing some great football right now, probably the best of his career. In fact, we've gotten 2 30-point DraftKings games here over the last couple weeks, and I think a lot of people are going to look towards the passing game with Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith. You can go that route as well. Chicago been terrible against both the run and the pass, but Philly, big 9-point favorites here. Would shock me to see the Chicago Bears keep this game too close. So I think they lean on their running game here. Could have some very cold temperatures in Chicago. Also tends to lean more towards the running game. So a lot of factors here in the corner of Miles Sanders. And we mentioned that matchup, Chicago 27 DVOA against the run, bottom 5 in fantasy points allowed to the running back position. Sanders playing great right now. I think he flies under the radar here in week 15. All right, to the tight end position next. We're going to go with the guy that busted his chalk last week. That's Greg Dulcich of Denver. So not necessarily a bust at his price point, but was very highly owned. Only put up about 8 DraftKings points. I think a lot of people are going to look in a different direction here. These are spots I love to go right back to here. Now, he'll certainly have some level of ownership here. The questions about Russell Wilson, we'll keep an eye on that. But this guy's been so involved in this passing game. 8 targets per week over the last couple. Cortland Sutton looking iffy to play at best. I don't think we see him out there this week. So again, you're running basically Jerry Jeudy, Greg Dulcich out there as your pass catchers here. And the matchup doesn't get any better for a tight end than when you see the Arizona Cardinals on the slate. They give up the most receptions, the most receiving yards, the most touchdowns. And what does that lead to? Of course, the most fantasy points. So dead last in all 4 of those categories. So great matchup here. We get that ownership discount. Take advantage this week with the value on Greg Dulcich. All right, let's spend some money at the quarterback position. We're going to roll with Justin Herbert of the Chargers. So Herbert giving us a lot of very consistent floor games here, 20 or more DraftKings points 8 times already this season. What we have not seen, the big blow-up game out of Justin Herbert. I think that's going to keep the ownership down. I think we get that here in this spot. Tennessee, the best team in the league against the run, so could stifle a little bit of what Austin Eckler does on the ground. But through the air, I think the Chargers are going to find a lot of success here. And the Chargers loaded up with guys you can stack Herbert with, whether it's Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. You want to throw Eckler in there for his passing game chops. Hell, even Gerald Everett in play here. A lot of fun ways to stack this team against this awful Titan secondary. 28th in DVOA against the pass. Again, number 1 against the run. So I think you're going to limit what Austin Eckler does on the ground, but through the air, they should find a lot of success against quarterbacks second most passing yards allowed, second most touchdowns allowed, and second most fantasy points allowed. Justin Herbert in a smash spot here this week against the Tennessee Titans. All right, we talked about his stacking partners. Let's roll wide receiver Mike Williams against Tennessee. So Williams has a big game against the Miami Dolphins that nobody seems to recognize, but it seems like Keenan Allen going to be double, potentially triple the ownership here of what Mike Williams is going to be, and more expensive here. So it's not that I don't like Keenan Allen. In fact, I think you can definitely double stack both of those guys with Justin Herbert, but Mike Williams is going to be this low owned with the level of upside that he gives you each and every week. I want to take advantage of that. A lot of ceiling in this guy. In fact, we've seen it a lot this season. I know he's been injured a lot, but in 5 of his 8 games, this guy's top 21 DraftKings points. So shows you right there, can get you 20, 25, upwards of 30 fantasy points each and every time he takes the field. Now, the Titans been awful against wide receivers. We talked about how bad they were against quarterbacks, just as bad against receivers, which makes sense. 18 touchdowns already allowed. We know touchdowns, the name of the game for Mike Williams, and hold a lot of value over on FanDuel. Most fantasy points allowed to this position here as well. So again, Keenan Allen, not a terrible play. Don't hate the double stack, but Mike Williams' ownership just looks a little thin. Take advantage here against Tennessee. All right, it's time to take a look at my favorite play for week 15. Before we do that, let's continue our Beast of the Week contest. Free to play, easy to play. And as I always say, a thank you to you guys for your support of the video and for hanging out here in the Fantasy Bar. All you got to do, get in the comment section right below the video and guess fantasy points on DraftKings this week for my favorite play of the week. The closest guess going to win themselves a free week of RotoGrinders Premium. Chance to check everything out behind the scenes and take advantage of that free offer. Also, I want to know who your Beast of the Week is. If you're 10 in the bar, you're sitting in the chair here, who is your top play on this Sunday main slate? Sound off in that YouTube comment section. All right, let's get to my favorite play. You know, Mass, the Beast of the Week. All right, Beast time. We're going to get you some correlation here. We're going to go to the other side of that Chargers Titans game. We're going to run it back with running back Derrick Henry once again, this week's Beast of the Week. So Henry was good to us last week, and I love this spot for him here again this week against the Los Angeles Chargers, who have been awful against the run. Now, we'll get into that in a second. Henry, when looking at some of the splits, I don't put a ton of weight in this normally, but it's been eye-popping how good this guy has been away from his home fields, averaging over 6 fantasy points per game more on the road, and 9 of his 11 rushing touchdowns have also come away from home here. Big game for the Tennessee Titans, and we mentioned that matchup with the Chargers. They have been bad against the run, 25th in DVOA, second most rushing yards allowed. We know that's the name of the game for Derrick Henry, piling up those rushing yards and touchdowns, 5th most fantasy points allowed to this position, and some fun correlations. Again, Justin Herbert can stack a lot of different ways. You run it back with Derrick Henry on the other side. I think this game has shootout potential written all over it. Even if you don't stack it, I think Derrick Henry, the top play on this slate, my favorite play on the board in this week's Beast of the Week. All right, guys, that'll wrap us up for week 15 with 6 of my favorite plays on FanDuel and DraftKings. As always, if you have any comments, questions, feedback, please don't hesitate. Hit me up in that comment section right below the video. Don't forget your guess for Derrick Henry's fantasy points on DraftKings for your shot at some free RotoGrinders Premium. And I want to know your top play. Agree with Derrick Henry? You got somebody else in mind? Who is your Beast of the Week here in week 15? If you have not already, click that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, check out scoresandodds.com, and check out the DFS OGs, Head Chopper, Notorious, and myself, breaking down the slate from a betting perspective each and every week. Can find that here on YouTube or on your favorite podcast apps. For RotoGrinders.com, I am Beer saying salut, guys. Best of luck here in week 15. Remember, pints and picks, take a look at that. 7-1 over the last 4 weeks. So look to stay hot there. You'll find that video here on YouTube as well. Thank you for watching. Good luck this week, and we'll see you.
Hey, thanks for checking out our videos. If you want more expert advice on DraftKings, FanDuel, or any other daily fantasy sports, make sure you check out the current videos playlist